Hey guys! For those of you who don't know me, my name is Brenna Posey. I'm an employee here at NOCD, and I actually have OCD myself. You may recognize me from our NOCD Instagram page. I run weekly Q&As on Wednesdays where I get to answer questions from our OCD community. So please join that if you want every Wednesday and check out our Instagram page. It's fun. We provide a lot of interesting and cool content about OCD, and I hope that makes you feel less alone. For today's video, I'm super excited because we'll actually be talking about the Grammys and 4 Grammy nominees who will be representing the OCD community. If you're anything like me, you love the Grammys and you love music and pop culture, honestly. I think it's so fun, and this video is really exciting because we get to talk about 4 celebrities that a lot of people know, but you may not know that they actually have OCD. Whenever I found this out, it honestly made me feel less alone, and it made me feel like I can do anything despite my struggles, which sometimes it's just good to have that reminder. Now, OCD is actually a lot more common than you may think. 1 in 40 people have OCD, and a lot of these people you may know, they're household names. So, we're going to talk about the 4 Grammy nominees that have opened up about their OCD. The first Grammy nominee is Ariana Grande. So, Ariana is nominated for 3 Grammys. She's nominated for Best Pop Duo Group Performance, Best Pop Vocal Album, and Best Dance Pop Recording. And this year, actually, on an episode of Penn Badgley's podcast, Pod Crushed, she opened up about her OCD diagnosis from when she was really young and how she struggled with counting compulsions. Now, here's a quote from her. I had really bad OCD, like I had to be in the shower for a certain amount of time, singing through Defying Gravity 3 times in the shower. That's how I knew I had a long enough shower. Now, I love this example actually because she, for those of you that like musicals too, you know that she was in Wicked this year. And I love how she gave this example about defying gravity because it kind of just shows that you can do anything despite your struggles, because the song that she was singing in the shower whenever she was struggling with OCD, she got to sing for a huge movie years later. And so I love that example. Obviously, don't love how she struggled with OCD, but I love how it shows that you can do anything. The second Grammy nominee that we'll be talking about in this video is Luke Combs. Now, Luke Combs is a country singer, and he's nominated for 2 Grammys this year, including Songwriter of the Year, Non-Classical, and a Best Song Written for Visual Media. Last year on Joe Rogan's podcast, he opened up about his experience with pure OCD, a subtype characterized by obsessions and compulsions that tend to be invisible to others. I've struggled with pure OCD in my life, and I love that Luke has opened up about this and just brought more awareness to this, because a lot of people tend to think that OCD, you can see it, you can see people washing their hands or they like things a certain way, which maybe that's true for some people, but that wasn't true for me. So I love that he was able to bring this into light. All of my obsessions and compulsions were in my brain, and no one could see that I was struggling with them. So wanted to shout out Luke for talking about that because I think it's really important. And he talked about it. He said, quote, some people have weird thoughts like, oh, that was weird. I just had a thought about jumping into traffic, and think that's just a symptom of my brain. People like me become obsessed with the meaning of these thoughts and why they enter our brain when they don't mean anything, end quote. Yeah, he explains OCD really well because anyone can have these types of thoughts, right? We can't control our thoughts, they just pop in our brain. But for people with OCD, it sends a false threat to our brain, like this thought actually means something, and I may actually like this thought or act on it, and I need to make sure I don't. And that's where the compulsions can come in, and then we just get stuck in that OCD cycle. Luke Combs, shares how exposure and response prevention therapy allowed him to stop getting caught up in his thoughts. Quote, I'm not going to jump in front of that truck, but I might. I love how he ended with the but I might. It just shows our brain that we don't know what's going to happen. We're going to teach our brain that we have to be okay with the uncertainty of these obsessions, which sounds scary, but I've done ERP therapy with NOCD actually, and it really, really helped me reframe my reaction to my thoughts because that's what really matters in OCD. It's not the fact that we actually have these thoughts, it's how we react to them. And if we give them no reaction, give them a neutral reaction, it shows that we don't really need to be scared of these thoughts. Okay, the third Grammy nominee is Madison Beer. So this is Madison Beer's first Grammy nomination, which is really exciting for her. The 25-year-old is nominated in the Best Dance Pop Recording category for her song, Make You Mine. Madison actually opened up about her OCD experience in her memoir, The Half of It. And she also talked about her borderline personality disorder diagnosis. And, quote, she said, they were the first diagnoses that, when I began doing my research, felt like the answer I'd been searching for. She's also talked about her mental health conditions publicly. So, quote, being able to turn my pain into something that could help others was integral to my own healing. I felt like I was finally allowing myself to be seen as human without a debilitating fear of being judged for it. Quote. Love that. I think a lot of times whenever we have mental health conditions, we feel a lot of shame and we don't want to talk about it. We don't want others to know that we're struggling. But in reality, a lot of people could be struggling with the exact same thing that you are. And opening up could be the best thing for you because it may be healing for you in some type of way. And also, it can make you closer to people around you because they may want to talk about it as well. And I know Madison Beer opening up about this will hopefully help other people in the world open up about it too. The fourth and final Grammy nominee that we'll be talking about is Nikki Glaser. So she actually is nominated for Best Comedy Album, and she talked about moving back with her parents during the COVID-19 pandemic after experiencing an eating disorder, depression, and OCD in an interview with Yahoo Life. And quote, she said, I think I was depressed, but it didn't really set in until I got an eating disorder, which stemmed from OCD and depression. Yeah, I really like how she's talking about this too, because a lot of people don't know how OCD can be the root for a lot of other conditions. And we actually need to solve the root, which is OCD, first, which will then help with the other conditions. You know, I don't know her exact story and her experience, but I do know in my experience that I had other mental conditions along with OCD that were caused by my OCD. And it was hard to tackle because at first I didn't know what the root was. And once I was able to find that the root was my OCD and did specialized therapy, exposure response prevention therapy for my OCD, I found relief with my OCD, which then led to me finding relief in my other mental health conditions. Whether these four nominees take home an award for the Grammys or not, it's really important to talk about because they represent a growing movement of people who are bringing mental health conversations to the forefront. I think it's really, really important and awesome that these four people who are widely known are talking about mental health and are bringing this up in conversations because they know how many people are watching them and they're doing the right thing by opening up and having hard conversations because it makes other people feel less alone. And I know how hard it can be for them. So I just want to take a moment and just, recognize that talking about it can be hard, but they're doing it anyways. So you can keep up with these four nominees at the Grammys at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.